What is up? My name is Garrett Yoker on Twitter, YOOGRTT. Thank you so much for tuning into the Now Notation YouTube channel. Welcome back to another album review. Today we're talking about the ventures of Oliver Francis by Oliver Francis. This is the second project from this guy this year with the release of Crown of Death, a short EP earlier in the summer, I believe. And that actually has kind of proven to be one of my favorite projects, not only of this year, but probably of his discography. If you look back at 2018, there was only one release from the man. I think it was Infinity Boy. But 2017 at least saw a million miles a minute or something. And really the standout from that year from him. And just when you look at his catalog, there is a big fucking standout. And that's Chlorine. And that's where you really start to see the guy come into his own sound and feel real comfortable with his sound. And then when you progress towards the latter two releases, I don't know. As a fan, I didn't feel like where he was going with the sound was something I was identifying with as much, but I did appreciate how hands-on this guy is. He's always producing his own stuff. He actually has a second producer on this by the name of Han on this album. I'm not too sure. He has a few different like Russian credits on Genius that I'm seeing, so I'm interested in that. But usually this guy's pretty to himself. He lives out in Missouri, if I'm not mistaken, and just grinds his ass off and really shows what the internet can do if you do put out a fucking great product. It doesn't matter where you are, it's gonna find an audience. And this guy's been able to tour multiple times. In fact, my friend actually went to a recent show in San Diego. I wasn't able to make it to that. He sent me a couple videos. They're not long enough to post on the channel, but I will insert it right here because there is a couple cool ones. Check these out. As you can see though, just by those short videos, Oliver Francis definitely is able to not only capture an audience, but keep them engaged and interested and wanting to show up to, one, just not only show up to shows, but two, sing along and want to see how good of a performer this guy is. I was able to see him back in like Santa Ana a few years back, and those videos are on this channel. You can go check out a couple songs that he performed that night. And he performed like a My Chemical Romance cover, and like that always captured me to be like, wow, this guy is a phenomenal performer. Oliver Francis is somebody who always will stand out to me as one of my favorite independent rappers. Always stand out as someone who I can point to be like, hey, you really are showing people what you can do from your bedroom. You are really showing people what you can do from like a home studio type vibe. And really, when you look at his trajectory across multiple different weird SoundCloud profiles, and I say weird because they're not all rap. It's not like he had 3 different rap personas. It's like he used to make like lo-fi style beats, and then he would make like cool mixes and remixes, and like it was like definitely like house airy type music. And then when you finally get to the point where he's making Oliver Francis a product, and there's vocals over these beats that he's also producing, it's a beautiful thing. It's really just one of the most organic, like, coming togethers. Like, I don't know. It's just one of those things where you see a guy work his ass off on like the music side, and then also work his ass off on the vocal side. And we're lucky enough to kind of see a chronicle of both ends through these different profiles, as well as the name Oliver Francis. But never have I really felt like, maybe it came across in Chlorine where I felt like this guy's musical talent was unrivaled. It was one of those things where you're like, wait, even if this isn't your favorite project, you can understand how good this thing sounds. This sounds really fucking well blended. This sounds really fucking well put together. But I never got that like mix style, where the previous profiles are very like, hey, I'm gonna like blend a couple different sounds together and then put like a lo-fi cover over them, and they're gonna come together as this big blend of products. There's multiple examples. I'll throw a few on the screen, but this is the first project. This is the first time where I feel like that style, that past from Oliver Francis, is actually coming together, where this fucking album really does play like it's radio stations being cut in between each other, like your GTA radios being like boom, 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 but you're always in the same kind of like safe bubble of just Oliver Francis, who makes great creative music, but also has some of the best sound quality you're gonna find this year. Let's look at the track listing real quick. Track number 1 is FU2, which had a music video. I didn't enjoy that music video. I like his attempt to go for a storyline. I like his attempt to like narrate a story to one of his songs through a music video. But I just didn't feel like it worked. Unfortunately, the execution didn't come across. It might have been on the editing side too. Like, it looked like they all came up and showed up to film that thing that day. Track number 2 is I Like. Track number 3, Sucker Free Sundays. Track number 4, Nonstop. Track number 5, Panic Attack. Track number 6, Ooh Woo, featuring Big Baby Scumbag, UWU. I know that's some like Reddit type Twitter, like anime Twitter type response, and I it's going over my head. I apologize. 7 is Ramune Soda. Track number 8 is FWMD, which fuck with my drip, featuring Global Dan. Track number 9 is VVS Teardrops, featuring Cold Heart. Track number 10 is Bacon and Eggs. And prior to this album also, other than Big Baby Scumbag, Oliver never really like collaborated with people. He's like produced a song for Black Bear and Lil Aaron, but he's never really like been someone to just be like, hey, come on my song, hey, let me go on your song. He's never done that. That's not what he's for. And that's also like the polish on his music. That's where a lot of that comes from, I feel like, too. I feel like he's able to like hold his music on like a higher regard because it's almost rare in a sense. But on this, you have Cold Heart, you have Big Baby Scumbag coming back, and then you also have Global Dan. So it was cool to see him at least play around with the scene around him. I think it's time as well. He's already proved anything he needs to prove as being like one of the better rappers with no label, or just one of the better rappers out there. Like, really, this guy's lyrics are so fucking good, and that comes across on this thing non-stop. Standout tracks to me are Sucker Free Sunday. Panic Attack is catchy, but fuck with my drip. You cannot underestimate how much of a vibe that is going to be live, is live. Like, he's on tour right now, so if you can, go check him out. But that is a fucking gem right there. That is a very well crafted song on both in the car type of thing, early morning while it's raining, or just to get down live. Like, I feel like it's gonna be hype as fuck live, even though it's more of like a reflective, mellow song in a sense, but it's great. His catchiness, his lyrics, they're funny. There's parts where he's saying that he's like crying while getting head, and like, that's just fucking ridiculous, but you know, to each its own. You know, take it with a grain of salt, but also take it with a heavy grain of salt, because that may happen to you one day. Maybe he's just looking out. But the production is where I really want to stand things out. Sucker Free Sunday, Ooh with Big Baby Scumbag, those two have some of the best production, as well as Fuck With My Drip. But non-stop, this thing is doing interesting ass things. It's very airy, it's very cloudy, and that's not something that you're not going to expect from someone who comes from a group that calls themselves the Cloud Boys. And that's just it. But or Burnout Boys, I guess now. But anyways, this album is fantastic. The Adventures of Oliver Francis is something that you should check out, because this is now going to be the point where I'm saying Oliver Francis should never be slept on, and he needs to be protected at all costs. I don't think that this is going to stand above his previous release early in the year with Crown of Death. I just think Crown of Death, he was coming for your fucking head. So if you haven't listened to that project, go back and listen to that EP, because it really is just 5 to 6 tracks that are just sluggers beating the fuck out of you, saying like, don't you fucking say my name in vain. And it's like, if this is like his point in 2019 to show you that if you were hating on him in 2018, or you were doubting him in 2018 by the lack of releases or lack of what you wanted, or even if the last few projects, like myself, like last 2 projects weren't my favorite necessarily, prior to Crown of Death, and now you're here. Now you're here with Crown of Death, just fucking 5 tracks to just say, I can do this, like, way better than most people. So I don't know why y'all are even thinking I fell off. And then with this, it's a much longer project. You have him playing with people, more so than he ever has in the industry, and you have him implementing styles and roots and stuff that, like, you haven't heard in a long time, but you know you can do, because that's where it came from, with these, like, lo-fi styles. Like, he just wrote it with a fucking bold marker on this thing. And that's the most interesting part of this, is just where Oliver Francis is able to take his artistry going forward. Most of these songs are all going to play live amazingly. He's definitely worthy and should be picked up by every festival next year. And I really hope that it just transgresses the brand into a way, way better spot, because he deserves it. Oliver Francis, The Adventures of Oliver Francis, is a fantastic project. Do not sleep on this thing. Have you listened to it? Let me know in the comment section below. Sorry for the soft voice. Got Ruben sleeping. But thank you so much for tuning in. I do appreciate it. Again, let me know in the comment section below. What did you think? Follow me on Twitter if you would like. At Yogurt, YOGRTT. Instagram as well. Now Notation on those 2 platforms as well. Thank you so much. Take care of yourselves. And that is all, folks.